Hello, welcome to Brimwood Farm. So today we're going to talk about the farm and the conservation plans of 2017 and also what's coming up next year. So as a very brief overview for those of you who might not have been here before, although we have an urban homesteading here, I actually have 40 acres of inherited land about a 2-hour drive away. So though I can't keep livestock or do any plants or anything up there yet, we are doing conservation products up there and also some farm management stuff. So over the past year, we have been continuing several projects and we've also started some as well. So the first one obviously is our our nesting box conservation campaign. And over the past couple of years, we've crowdfunded on Indiegogo to get money for these owl boxes. We've got 3 up and we've got another 2 going up in January, February next year, which I'm really excited about. Now we're not crowdfunding it anymore, we've moved it over to Patreon, so if you are one of my Patreons, some of the money that you do happily donate towards Brimwood Farm will be going towards these continuation of owl boxes and then moving on to bat boxes and things like that. Now, as we are currently, we have seen tawny owls and we have seen barn owls on the land, and they are beautiful, beautiful animals, and we want to encourage them as much as possible. Now, I don't unfortunately actually have a huge ladder to clamber into the tree and get into those nest boxes. We borrowed a ladder last time to put them up, and I'll have to borrow that ladder again come January, February to put more up, and also to check the nest boxes that we've already got in place. So far, we're not sure whether we have actually had any owlets, but we have definitely had owls in and around those nest boxes. The first box that we put up, we actually found some owl pellets. And when we went home and I kind of dissected them with some water and pulled them apart, compared them with ones online, it seemed as if they were barn owl pellets, which is great news because it means the barn owls are coming to the nest boxes and possibly going to start using them. In the future, we're not only looking at barn owls and tawny owls, but the other 3 major owls of the British owl, which are the short-eared owl, the long-eared owl, and the little owl. And the nice thing about owls is these species of owls, they nest in different places and they eat slightly different things. So many of them can coexist in the same environment, which means we can just try and get as many of these species onto the land as possible, set up breeding pairs, get them breeding, and then we can bring the Owl Trust in and we can start using them to ring the owls, so we know how our conservation efforts are going. So that's the Owl Box campaign. The next campaign we're going to focus on is the Wildflower Meadow Conservation. So that started about 3 years ago now. And again, we crowdfunded the seed, and then me and a load of my friends and family went up and we sowed this strip of land. And it's done really well. The strip that we originally established has been flowering really well. The first year it was predominantly oxeye daisy. But this year we've noticed other things coming in as well. So obviously when we sowed it, we sowed with a big mix. But the problem we hit was it was a really dry year. And because we're not near the land, we're not there to scare off all the wood pigeons. And so the wood pigeons came down, I think, and they ate quite a lot of the annual seeds. And so, as I say, it was predominantly oxeye daisy with some bird's foot trefoil and clover and things like that into the mix. This year, there was a lot more mallow. There were some birdfoot trefoil, as I said. There was some poppies started coming out, some planting. So it seems like both the perennial and the annual wildflowers are starting to take hold in that patch. My friendly tenant farmer also did me a massive favour, and he mowed the field down, as you can see. So he mowed it down this autumn, because it's all very well and good thinking, oh yes, back in the day they scythed it, and won't it be a lovely thing just to scythe and work the land? Well, it would be a lovely thing if you had, 48 hours in one day. But we don't. We are short of time, we are short of manpower. So just me and a couple of friends trying to scythe, 3 to 4 acres is just not happening. So our farmer's going to come in and mow that down every season for us until we live there. And then hopefully when we live there, I'm hoping to set up an actual scything event where people can come along and we can sort of make it into a big community event and stuff. People can come inside the field, tea, coffee, buns, community event would be really, really fun. So that's the Wildflower Meadow. It's going really well, and the idea of sowing that strip and the seeds then distributing themselves and going further and further and further out as they spread across the field is working, because although we've got that main strip in the middle, we're starting to see wildflowers in the periphery as well. So that is working, and so over the coming years that will keep spreading out across that whole acreage. Of course, down the bottom of the field we're going to be putting in trees. That is another project that we're going to start in more gusto next year. So obviously trees take a long time to grow, and so we need to get them in as fast as possible. But there's this other thing of money, and so I haven't had the money to go out and buy loads of trees. So I've been finding trees wherever I can from friends and family. You know, if they've got a little oak that's self-seeded in its garden, I'm digging it up and putting it on. I actually stopped at a random person's house the other day because they had an little oak tree growing in their front garden. And it didn't look like it had been put there. It looked like it had just sprouted up for no reason. So I knocked on the door, asked them what they were going to do with it. They said they'd probably weed it out. So I took it. So that's another oak tree that we can put up at the farm. The Bluebell Grove conservation project is also ongoing. Now, if you've watched any of the videos about the Bluebell Grove, you will know it's had its own fair share of ups and downs. The first year we put in 100 bulbs. I was very, very excited. So we put in bulbs in autumn 2015, I think it was. 2016, we went down, I took some pictures, as you can see here. I took some pictures of those bluebell flowers, was really, really excited. Got home, looked online, and we had been sent the wrong bulbs, because the keen eye of you will notice that those bluebell bulbs and bluebell flowers are not the native English bluebell. They seem to be a hybrid between the English bluebell and the Spanish bluebell. And the whole point of setting up this conservation patch is an English bluebell wood, because the England bluebell is dying out because it hybridizes so easily with the Spanish bluebell. And the Spanish bluebell doesn't have any perfume either, and it doesn't have a vast amount of nectar, and the nectar thing is what we want for all our bees and our insects early on in the spring. So skip forward to autumn 2016, I put in another 200 bulbs, and then unfortunately this spring 2017 I missed the flowering, so I am not sure what's happened. I did buy these bulbs from a different and more reputable source. So in 2018 we will be going back to try and catch that bluebell wood and see how it's doing and make sure it's kind of expanding throughout that patch. We also need to do a little bit of tree felling there because there are a lot of sycamore trees, so we need to take down those sycamore trees and let more light in, but keep it as that little native woodland patch. Now, another conservation project that we started this year was the pond restoration, and if you've been following the farm vlogs from 2017, you'll know that I had this big idea of doing this, blitzing this pond in this winter and sorting it out, and actually realising as I worked just how vast this project is, because in my mind when I'm not there all these things seem very easily achievable, and then when I'm there and I've been working for 4 hours and hardly made a dent, it makes me realise, oh, this is quite a large job. So, but that is ongoing. We have done a lot of clearing. We'll be doing more clearing in January, February. And then I'm not going to try and clear it all. I've decided that I'm going to clear as much as I can, and then I'm just going to start getting plants in, start re-oxygenating that water, digging out some of the sludge. As long as there is enough light from a cutback canopy coming through, those first few plants can start to get established. So I'll put in more hardier staples and native staple reeds, yellow flag iris and things like that, just to start oxygenating that weed and turning it into oxygenating that water and getting it into a good pond format again. So that is an ongoing project that was started in 2017 and is now spanning its way across. Now, of course, there are many other little projects going on. There was the clearing by the pit, there's the idea of clearing the brambles and putting in the nuttery, and so now we're coming on to things that are going to happen hopefully in 2018. So obviously all of these projects that I've just talked about will be ongoing. They are, they ongoing for decades. The conservation takes time and it's not so easy. One thing that was really nice this year was we did more biodiversity counts and we found some new bugs. Now, a few new things might not seem very special and they're not particularly rare, But to us, to me, I've never seen them there before, so it's really, really great every single year, every single time I go up to find new bugs. So you can see from these pictures coming up, I have found several new species of cool little bugs that were climbing around on plants, and they've been added to the biodiversity list, along with as many bird species as we can find. This year I found my first amphibian, so I found a frog, the first frog I've actually seen with my eye up there. The other thing is, we know there are deer, we just haven't identified the type. There are definitely muntjacs up there, but there's a bigger deer as well, but I've never got it in my eye line long enough to work out what it is, and I am not a professional when it comes to knowing what deer are, what species they are, so just a quick glance isn't enough for me to tell. So that's an ongoing thing to work out the type of deer we have. So we have muntjacs, which are the tiny little ones, and then we have another species which we're not yet sure what it is. So the biodiversity count will continue in 2018, of course, and the pond restoration project will continue. We actually have 2 ponds there, so after the first one is done, we'll be moving our sites onto the second one. There'll be more bluebell woods, more owl boxes, hopefully chicks. There'll be more wildflower meadow, and the tree planting is going to start in 2018 with earnest. So I am going to try and get some trees and get those first native trees in, and I'm also going to be setting up a small tree nursery doing native trees, so rowan and ash, oaks and things like that, and they can be planted within this section of forest that we're expanding, and then as and if I sell any, then they can be sold on, but that won't be for several years, so that's a very, very ongoing project. And then hopefully we'll start to see the development of the nuttery, of the overlook, which is the bit by the pit where we're going to put fencing around and put loads of shrubs for pollinators and also herbs and things, because that will be predominantly our sort of outside cooking area with our camp and our bonfire next to the nuttery where we can go and pick nuts, and also in the future that will be where the chickens are as well, under those nut trees. So there is lots in store for 2018. We have done loads in 2017. I want to do even more next year. Thank you so much for sticking around, following this journey, and hopefully you'll be here in a few years' time when we start the house build as well. If you've liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. Hit subscribe so you can continue following all of these different projects we're doing, and hopefully I can give you more information on them. If you've got a specific topic you would like to hear more of, please let me know, because it means next time I'm up at the farm I can do a bit of a more focused vlog on that. If you're on Facebook, please come across to Facebook, Brimwood Farm community group there, and join us, and I will see you very soon. Bye.